Hi, I'm Martin.
Hi, I'm Niki. And I'm Sammy.
And today we're talking about coping with loss.
Am I? I don't know what it is.
When someone dies, there's no right or wrong way to feel, but you don't have to cope on your own. How does it feel when someone dies?
I think there's like a flurry of emotions, and I don't think either one of them is right or wrong. I think there's like shock, there's confusion, there can be anger. A lot of people get angry when people die because they don't understand, particularly if the person that died maybe took their own life. But I think confusion and just emptiness is the overriding feeling. It's that hole there. I get it here, some people get it in the heart, I get it in my belly, and I feel like, how am I going to ever feel that with the person that's left?
I think it's important to note that everyone feels different when someone passes away, regardless of who they are. It could even be a pet. When you experience grief, whatever form that takes, everyone feels different, and that's totally fine. Like, that's totally okay.
Yeah. So people react in a way that suits them, or that they can't necessarily control or predict, but they go through those experiences, and that's fine.
I think it's important to just, however you're feeling, just let yourself feel it and ride out that emotion, because eventually, you know, you hopefully will come to terms with it. You might need help getting there, but you'll come to terms with it, and you just have to ride it out.
Yeah.
So never hold back your feelings. If you want to cry, you cry. And even if you're a guy and you're being told that men don't show their feelings, actually they do, and it's okay to be upset. Yeah. And I think that's what particularly I struggled with when I was growing up, losing my nan and granddad. It's like guys are taught from a young age that you need to be the strong one. That's changing, thankfully, but it's quite hard to compute how you feel with your feelings when you're being told not to show them.
Yeah.
But guys, this is like a message that it's okay to cry and actually let it out of your system.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just keeping it built up and it will manifest in different ways. I eat my feelings, so when I wasn't crying and getting upset, I was probably putting something in my mouth. that's just a bad way of feelings manifesting.
Did you find there was anyone in particular you talked to, friends or family members, and was that experience important for you?
I think it's important to speak to people that have been through what you're going through. So for us, we had friends that had lost grandparents, or we had friends that had lost, you know, when we was younger, pets. So you could talk to them about it, and you can also, you know, Childline is there. You have people that are trained to speak to you, teachers, depending on your age, if you've got a teacher there that you can speak to, you know, these are people that are willing to and want to help you.
So sometimes a death might be quite unexpected. What are some ways of dealing with that or processing it when it happens?
Our granddad's death was very sudden, which is parallel to our nan's death that was prolonged. So with a sudden death, there's it's the shock, I think, more than anything.
Because when there's a shock, there's almost like less closure, I suppose, on the relationship. If you've got someone who's unwell for a long time, you can kind of have an opportunity to come to terms with it, I suppose. And some people might experience a loss quite quickly, as yourselves, or if they have lost a friend online, or if someone takes their own life.
I'm lucky to have never experienced a friend or anyone taking their own life. But in that instance, I definitely think it's far more important to speak to someone that knows how to counsel you or what to say, because I think you can experience, I would imagine, anxiety, anger and shock because, you know, is it me? Have I done something? Could I have done more? And in those instances, I would almost definitely say no, but you need to speak to someone that can handle that, and that's obviously what Childline is there for. You need to speak to someone that knows how to deal with that.
And I think currently in the media, you know, there are some shows that show you the very real sides of suicide and things like that. However, they don't necessarily portray the way you should seek advice, or they don't seek advice. So never base it on what you see in media. Your experience is unique to you, and I think it's important. Places like Childline are so vital for, I don't think I could advise someone how to handle it, so I think it's important that Childline's there to counsel these people in the right way.
So sometimes when you've got grief and loss going on, it can be difficult to remember to take care of yourself. Like, what are some things that you would recommend people do?
I think it's really important that you carry on carrying on, in the sense that you have breakfast, lunch and dinner every day. You carry on exercising, because that's exercise and just getting out of the house are really good for your mental health. Because often I think people can shut themselves off from the world to sort of feel their grief alone. But after an amount of time, I think it's really good for you to get out and about, do some exercise, go for a meal with friends, just carry on with your social life, because that's really going to enrich your life and help you, hopefully, help you get over the grief that you're currently experiencing.
So thanks to Niki and Sammy for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.